5 years ago, Zelensky created his first glorious moment of uniting Ukrainian society and was elected as the president of Ukraine. Unexpectedly, in the bombing sound that rang out in Kyiv on February 24, 2022, he became a wartime president in 2024. This Russia-Ukraine conflict that has lasted for more than 2 years intensified again. After raiding Kursk Oblast of Russia, Zelensky admitted on September 2 that this attack failed to ease the situation in Donbas. The Ukrainian army is in a very difficult situation now. In addition to facing defeats on the battlefield, Zelensky also faces the changing faces of Western countries. After the end of his 5-year presidential term, he remains in office, which also brings a lot of internal contradictions and controversies. So under the circumstances of internal and external troubles, how should Zelensky break the deadlock? 5 years ago, Zelensky defeated the then-President Poroshenko with a record-high vote rate, creating his first glorious moment of uniting Ukrainian society, and was elected as the new leader of Ukraine. In the past 5 years, there has been continuous discussion around this president who is an actor by profession. There is no lack of doubts and criticisms. Zelensky is also using some of his means to deal with these controversies. The 5-year presidential term should have ended on May 21. However, due to the continuation of the Russia-Ukraine conflict and under the extension of the wartime state, Zelensky can still remain in office until the end of the wartime state and the new president is elected. However, Zelensky's continued tenure as president has brought a lot of contradictions and controversies. The website of The Economist magazine in the UK once reported that, as the frontline situation worsens, Zelensky may soon face his greatest political challenge. The atmosphere in Ukraine is becoming increasingly tense. The opposition questions that Zelensky's monopoly on power is no longer reasonable. TASS quoted expert views as reporting that the debate over the legitimacy of Zelensky's continued tenure is shaking the stability of the Kiev authorities and leading to increased doubts among the Ukrainian people about the current regime in Kiev. According to RIA Novosti, the Russian Foreign Intelligence Service once said that Western countries are extremely worried about the disastrous drop in Zelensky's support rate. The report also said that when feeling threatened by the legitimacy of his term in office, Zelensky may try to remove unreliable people. And this conjecture has been confirmed recently according to a report by Ukrainian Pravda on September 3. According to sources from the Ukrainian presidential office, Ukrainian Foreign Minister Kuleba will be dismissed. As for who will replace Kuleba, it is currently under consideration. In addition, Ukrainian President Zelensky also dismissed Rostislav Shulema, his deputy chief of staff in charge of economic affairs previously. Many Ukrainian officials submitted their resignations to the Verkhovna Rada, which will leave more than 1/3 of the Ukrainian cabinet vacant and will also increase the uncertainty of the Ukrainian government on September 3 local time. Alexander Kimwyshin, Minister of Strategic Industries of Ukraine, Minister of Justice Malieske, Minister of Ecology and Natural Resources Esther Iltska, and the head of the State Assets Fund Koval I submitted resignation applications to the Ukrainian Verkhovna Rada. Stefan Shuke, chairman of the Ukrainian Verkhovna Rada, said that these applications will be reviewed at the nearest plenary session. In addition, Ukrainian Pravda said that Ukrainian Deputy Prime Minister Stephanie Shina also submitted her resignation application to the Ukrainian Verkhovna Rada on the 3rd. Ayla Kamie, a senior lawmaker from Zelensky's Servant of the People Party, said on the same day that the Ukrainian government will carry out a major adjustment this week. This reorganization will affect more than half of government staff. We may be dismissed tomorrow and appointed the day after tomorrow. Reuters reported that Zelensky and his political team may take measures to fill these positions in a short time in order are to restore domestic order before visiting the United States to attend the United Nations General Assembly this month. At that time, he hopes to submit a victory plan to U.S. President Biden in his evening speech on the 3rd, local time. Zelensky said, "Autumn is very important for Ukraine. To achieve our goals, our state institutions should be adjusted. For this reason, we must strengthen certain areas of the government and prepare to adjust the composition of the government. Changes will also take place in the presidential office. For Ukraine's surprise attack on Kursk Oblast, resulting in insufficient troops in the Donetsk region in eastern Ukraine." Zelensky has also been strongly criticized according to a previous report by the Financial Times of the United Kingdom. After the Ukrainian army deployed thousands of soldiers to attack Kursk Oblast in Russia, there was a shortage of troops in the Donetsk region in eastern Ukraine. The Russian army quickly advanced its offensive there. Ukrainian President Zelensky was therefore strongly criticized by soldiers, Ukrainian lawmakers and military analysts. The report quoted a military analyst as saying that the current situation on the eastern edge of Pokrovsk is a complete defensive failure. He believes that this is not the fault of ordinary soldiers. The problem lies with those who make decisions for these soldiers. The Financial Times explained that he was referring to the Ukrainian leadership. The Ukrainian analysis agency Frontline Intelligence Insight organization said that Pokrovsk is one of the two important railway and highway hubs in the Donetsk region. Once it is lost, the logistical support of the Ukrainian army in the entire region will be threatened. Kovalenko, a military analyst at the Information Countermeasures website based in Kyiv, said that the situation on the east side of Pokrovsk is a complete defensive failure. Since the start of the Russia-Ukraine conflict in 2022, it has been more than 2 years now. Recently, the Russia-Ukraine conflict has intensified again. The Ukrainian army has rarely carried out large-scale cross-border attacks on Russia and invaded Kursk Oblast. And Ukraine's behavior has also received a response from Russia. Putin has warned that the enemy's subversive actions will be met with due retaliation, and the goals of Russia's special military operation against Ukraine will surely be achieved. He believes that the Ukrainian army's attack on Kursk Oblast is intended to block the advance of the Russian army in Donbas. But the offensive speed of the Russian army is only increasing. On September 2nd, Zelensky admitted that the attack by the Ukrainian armed forces on Kursk Oblast failed to ease the situation in Donbas, and the Ukrainian army is in a very difficult situation, according to a report by the Ukrainian National News Agency. On the same day, Zelensky said at a press conference after meeting with visiting Dutch Prime Minister Chauvin, Zaporizhzhia, the operation in Kursk is proceeding as planned. As for the difficulties in the directions of Pokrovsk and toward TSK, we think that the Kursk battle may have an impact on them. The situation there is very difficult at present. Zelensky also said that he discussed the supply of F-16 fighter jets and air defense missiles with Chauvin. Chauvin said that more than €200 million worth of assistance will be provided to Ukraine to protect and repair energy infrastructure. He also said that he agreed to let foreign retired pilots who have flown F-16 fighter jets participate in the war on the same day. Putin said that the Ukraine conflict stems from the long-term ambition of the West to control the country. The main reason for the current tragedy in Ukraine is the anti-Russian policy deliberately pursued by the Western collective led by the United States. Regarding the current Russia-Ukraine situation, Putin said that the Russian army is speeding up its offensive in Donbas. Kiev may negotiate with Russia after the failure of the provocation in Kursk. He said, "Of course, we must deal with these Ukrainian bandits who enter Russian territory, namely Kursk Oblast, and attempt to undermine the stability of the situation in the border areas." Experts analyzed that Zelensky is shocked and confused by failing to achieve his goal in the military operation in Kursk. He is already in a panic and doesn't know what to do. Whether to withdraw the Ukrainian army from the Kursk region or continue to penetrate deep into Russian territory. Regarding the occupied Russian territory, Zelensky said on the 3rd that as long as manpower and resources permit, the Ukrainian army intends to hold on to some areas of Kursk Oblast that have been occupied. The commander-in-chief of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, Zelensky, once said that the reason why Kiev attacked Kursk Oblast is to make Russia draw troops from the direction of Donetsk. But he later complained that Russia saw through Kiev's intention. He emphasized that the battlefield situation and strategic situation facing the Ukrainian army are still severe. Zelensky also admitted that the recent large-scale attacks by the Russian side have put the Ukrainian army in a difficult situation in multiple directions on the front line. In addition to facing defeats on the battlefield, Zelensky also faces the changing faces of Western countries. On the battlefield, Ukraine is extremely dependent on Western weapons and ammunition assistance, especially assistance from the United States and the European Union in recent months. Zelensky has been constantly lobbying and asking Western countries to allow the Ukrainian army to use Western weapons to strike military targets inside Russia, although the stances of many countries in the Western camp have loosened. They still have not authorized the Ukrainian army to carry out long-range strikes on Russia. U.S. President Biden said in early June that the United States has authorized Ukraine to use U.S. weapons to strike targets within 200 miles deep inside Russia. As for the direction of the Russia-Ukraine conflict, the most likely scenario is still a continuous war of attrition, at least until the U.S. presidential election. At that time, whether U.S. support for Kiev will continue unwaveringly under the leadership of the Harris administration or may be completely reversed during Trump's second presidential term will be clear. The government led by Harris is extremely likely to largely continue the policies of the Biden administration. Avoid escalating the situation, provide only a small amount of military assistance, and try to avoid direct confrontation with Russia. This means that the war is likely to become even more protracted. It is still unclear what Trump's Ukraine policy will actually look like. However, there is no doubt that it may be very different from the policies of the Biden team. Because of this, the U.S. presidential election has caused so much uncertainty about Ukraine policy. Therefore, Kiev and its allies are doing a lot of planning for the situation in 2025 and beyond regarding Ukraine's pressure on the United States and the West. Military observer Kui Hongjian analyzed that Ukraine is not sure whether the United States and the West can continue to provide military assistance. The United States will hold a presidential election soon. Whether to continue to assist Ukraine and the intensity of assistance have become important issues in the campaigns of the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. Whether the United States will relax restrictions on Ukraine's USEX restrictions on Ukraine's use of Western weapons depends on its domestic political needs. On September 3rd, the Verkhovna Rada Parliament of Ukraine passed another resolution calling on G7 countries to lift restrictions on the Ukrainian army's use of Western aid and long-range weapons to strike military targets inside Russia. However, there are currently obvious differences within European countries on this issue. According to a report by the Spanish media Euronews on September 2nd, a NATO spokesperson said that NATO will not be part of the conflict in recent months. Zelensky has been constantly lobbying and asking Western countries to allow the Ukrainian army to use Western weapons to strike military targets inside Russia. In response, Russian ambassador to the United States Antonov said on the 3rd that representatives of the Kiev regime go to Washington to seek handouts. They beg for missiles, ammunition and money. The Ukrainian side may receive additional promises from the U.S. government again. However, Antonov warned that if the situation in Ukraine escalates, the United States will not be able to hide across the ocean the supply of any advanced equipment, whether it is fighter jets or long-range missiles. not to mention the dispatch of mercenaries, will not change the battlefield situation. More and more Western experts agree with the view of Lord Ricketts, former British National Security Advisor. He emphasized the possibility of a North Korean-style situation. This will lead to Russia controlling about 1/5 of the pre-war territory of Ukraine. That is, the area of territory it currently controls, while the rest of the territory will become pro-Western in the next few years.